8 Worst Disasters in Star Trek's Entire Timeline. Star Trek's long history has seen its fair share of disasters. From Captain James T. Kirk Williams Shatner on Star Trek, the original series, to Captain Michael Burnham, Sonequa Martin Green on Star Trek Discovery, starship captains and their crews have been preventing disasters and saving people across the galaxy for as long as Starfleet has existed. But Starfleet cannot prevent every catastrophe. Whether due to war, natural disaster, or a targeted attack, the United Federation of Planets has weathered many storms throughout its history. Almost every Star Trek series has seen at least one major disaster, although some had more of an impact on the franchise than others. For example, much of the Federation-Klingon War of 2256 to 2257 took place in the background of Star Trek Discovery Season 1, when the USS Discovery was in the Mirror Universe. Star Trek Deep Space Nine, on the other hand, devoted multiple seasons to the Dominion War, becoming the first Star Trek series to tell such a dark, serialized story. Disasters this catastrophic left their mark on the Star Trek timeline and often reverberated throughout the galaxy for years after they occurred. In March of 2153, the Xindi launched a devastating surprise attack on Earth using a powerful particle beam to carve out an area from Florida to Venezuela. The attack killed around 7 million people, including the sister of Commander Trip Tucker, Connor Trenier. In the wake of the disaster, Starfleet ordered the Enterprise NX-1 to halt its mission of exploration and return to Earth. Captain Jonathan Archer Scott Bakula soon learned that the Xindi attacked Earth based on false information that humanity would one day destroy their home planet. The Enterprise traveled to the Delphic Expanse in search of the Xindi, who were planning a much larger attack. In the end, Captain Archer and his crew managed to stop the Xindi weapon before it destroyed Earth, although the Enterprise lost 27 crew members along the way. The incident also led to increased xenophobia among humans, emboldening the extremist group known as Terra Prime. The Enterprise crew thwarted Terra Prime's attempt to derail negotiations for the Coaltian of Planets, the precursor to the United Federation of the Planets. The Federation and the Klingon Empire have long had a rocky history, and their aggressions came to a head in the mid-23rd century. The war began with the Battle of the Binary Stars, provoked by Takuma Chris Obi, who wanted to bring the Klingon Empire together against a common enemy, the Federation. The Federation quickly began losing ground. Desperate, Starfleet co-opted research on an experimental spore drive and implemented the technology on the USS Discovery. Discovery's ability to instantly travel across the galaxy gave Starfleet a huge advantage in the war, and they began to turn the tide in their favor. In 2257, Captain Gabriel Lorca Jason Isaacs took Discovery to the Mirror Universe, inadvertently dealing the Federation a massive blow. By the time Discovery emerged back into their universe 9 months later, the Klingons occupied nearly 20% of former Federation space. Michael Burnham, Sonequa Martin Green, and Emperor Philippa Giorgio Michel ultimately made the Klingons stand down by threatening the destruction of Konos and giving L'Rell Mary Kifo control of the Empire. The estimated casualties for the Federation included around 1/3 of the fleet and nearly 100 million dead. The death toll for the Klingons was unknown. The universe of Star Trek is full of hope, exploration, and progress, but it's also a timeline riddled with catastrophes that shape the fate of galaxies. From personal tragedies to interstellar extinction-level events, here are 8 of the worst disasters across Star Trek's sprawling history. 8. The synth attack on Mars 2385. What began as a normal first contact day ended in flames, literally. On April 5, 2385, a fleet of rogue synthetic lifeforms launched a devastating assault on Utopia Planitia Fleet Yards, one of Starfleet's most critical shipbuilding facilities in orbit around Mars. Using insider knowledge and access codes, the synths disabled planetary defenses, killed over 92,000 people, and ignited Mars' atmosphere. The red planet burned for years. The psychological and political fallout was just as brutal. The Federation immediately banned synthetic life, disbanded efforts to evacuate Romulan citizens from their impending supernova, and sowed seeds of paranoia and xenophobia. The attack didn't just scorch a planet, it torched the Federation's ideals, setting the tone for a darker, more fractured future. 7. The Romulan supernova 2387. No one saw it coming, at least not soon enough. A rare, subspace, unstable star went supernova and engulfed the Romulan system, wiping out the homeworlds of the Romulan star empire. Billions of lives were lost in moments. Even with advanced warning from Ambassador Spock, the Federation's rescue mission was delayed, especially after the Mars attack weakened political will. The collapse of one of the quadrant's superpowers created chaos across the galaxy, leading to fragmentation, warlord states, and an influx of displaced people. In an alternate timeline, Spock's attempt to neutralize the supernova using red matter failed, leading to the creation of a new universe, the Kelvin timeline. One star's death became a multiversal rupture point. 6. The Kataan extinction. 1,000 years pre-TNG. In one of the Next Generation's most haunting episodes, The Inner Light, Captain Picard lives out a lifetime as a man from Kataan, a long-dead civilization. The Kataan star system suffered a prolonged drought due to increasing solar radiation. Despite advanced science, the people couldn't escape extinction. Their solution? Launch a probe that would carry their memory and history to the stars. It wasn't a flashy disaster, no explosions, no invasions, but it remains one of the most emotionally powerful. A civilization so determined to not be forgotten that they imprinted their entire culture onto one man's mind. 5. The Dominion War 2373 to 2375. The Dominion War wasn't just a series of battles. It was a war of attrition that nearly tore apart the Alpha Quadrant. With trillions dead and the very fabric of diplomacy shredded, the war pitted the Federation, Klingons, and Romulans against the shape-shifting Founders and their vast army of Jem'Hadar warriors. Entire fleets were lost. Planets like Bethesda fell. Starfleet officers had to grapple with moral compromises, biological warfare, and sabotage from within. The war changed everything from the design of ships to Starfleet's willingness to engage in preemptive violence. It was a war the Federation barely survived, and even its victory came at a price. 4. The Burn 31st Century. By the 31st century, warp technology had reached a point of ubiquity until it all imploded. Literally. A mysterious event known as the Burn caused nearly every active dilithium reactor in the galaxy to destabilize and explode simultaneously. Billions died in an instant, starships vaporized mid-warp, and subspace travel ground to a halt. This event shattered the United Federation of Planets, causing many worlds to isolate or descend into chaos. For over a century, space travel was limited and dangerous. Civilization nearly regressed until the crew of the USS Discovery uncovered the source, a genetically unique child linked to subspace resonance. 3. Wolf 359 2367. In Star Trek: The Next Generation, the Battle of Wolf 359 marks one of the darkest days in Starfleet's history. The Borg, using a captured and assimilated Jean-Luc Picard, now Locutus, tore through a fleet of 40 ships like tissue paper. Over 11,000 officers were killed. Among them was Captain Sisko's wife, forever altering his life and planting seeds of distrust toward Picard and the Federation's ability to defend itself. Wolf 359 wasn't just a massacre, it was a wake-up call. The Federation realized they were vulnerable. This event shaped defense policies for decades and redefined the threat the Borg posed. 2. Praxis explosion 2293. The Klingon moon Praxis, a key energy production facility, exploded due to overmining and environmental neglect. The shockwave crippled the Klingon Empire's economy and atmosphere, forcing them to sue for peace with the Federation. It was a disaster on multiple fronts: ecological, political, and military. While the Khitomer Accords eventually came from it, ushering in a new era of peace, it nearly triggered all-out war due to deep-seated mistrust on both sides.